Suppose Office Depot marks up goods 40% of the selling price to account for their overhead expenses and 60% of the selling price to account for profit. What rate of markdown on the selling price can Office Depot offer so that they break even on the reduced price? Let's take a look at what we're given in the question. We know that our overhead expenses, E, can be represented as 40% of the selling price, S. In other words, I can treat E like 0.4 times S. Also, we know that profit, capital P, can be thought of as 60% of the selling price, S. Or I can represent P as 0.6 times capital S. We know that the markup is comprised of both our overhead expenses as well as profit. So if we put these two together, we do have an expression for the markup as well. And collecting like terms, we see that 0.4 plus 0.6 is 1. So the markup is actually identical to the selling price. Next, we know that our selling price should be equal to our cost price to us plus the markup. If our markup is equal to S, and we subtract S from both sides, this means that C is equal to 0, or that these goods actually don't cost us anything to bring in at all. So now that we have some of these preliminaries out of the way, let's take a look at actually trying to answer our question. We want to try to determine a rate of markdown on the selling price S so that we break even when we sell at the reduced price. So let's apply our rate of markdown formula. And in order for us to break even on the reduced price, we need to make sure that the reduced price can account for both our costs and our overhead expenses. We know that the costs to bring the goods into us are $0, and our overhead expenses are 0.4 times capital S. Let's go ahead and divide both sides by S. It's going to allow us to drop the brackets on the right-hand side of our equation. This also allows us to cancel out the two s's that are inside the fraction that I see on the left-hand side of the equation. Let's add ROMD to both sides. Keeping R1 over here, let's subtract the fraction on the left-hand side, which is 0.4 over 1. And simplifying the expression on the right-hand side, we see that the appropriate rate of markdown that we can apply to ensure that we break even is going to be 60%.